And welcome everyone to the third Stars Program session, week number 3. Today we have Daryl Ronald here from West Basin, who's gonna talk a little bit about water conservation. So I'm just gonna hand it over to you, Daryl.
Thank you very much, Amelia, and thank you for having me. I know that you had several other presenters during this month and they run through their presentations, but I'm not one of those that likes to spend time yakking endlessly for half an hour. I like to have more of discussion. So I don't know if guys are all game, Sharon, Minerva, Diana, as far as having more of a discussion, because I don't think anything's more boring than listening to me talk for 15 minutes straight. So I'm just wondering if you would like to participate. You can also unmute yourself. I'm wondering, just so that I don't bore you to death and I can tailor this presentation more towards your needs, if you're a faculty member, what discipline you're teaching, or if you're a staff person, what department you're with. Do you mind sharing? For example, Sharon, I hope your mouth's not full with a sandwich right now.
It's not. I have an unstable connection, which is why I don't have my camera on. But I am a faculty member in the Film, Television, and Media program in the Department of Communications. And I am currently teaching a class on eco cinema. So that's me.
Awesome. Thank you so much. How about you, Minerva? Faculty or staff person?
I'm staff. I'm an administrative coordinator in the Process and Project Management Department in the Division of Information Technology.
Awesome.
And I'm fairly new to the campus, so I'm trying to learn all the things that are happening around campus.
Awesome. And I'm glad that you could join our discussion today, because CSUDH is an awesome campus that does so much environmental sustainability projects, bringing on a coordinator itself dedicated to sustainability. Amelia is just wonderful. And you'll find out that this partnership with West Basin Municipal Water District is really significant, because your campus is a model for water conservation and water recycling use.
Okay? Oh, great.
Yeah. Diana, your background, faculty member or staff?
I'm a full-time staff for the College of Education and Liberal Studies as the academic support coordinator.
Awesome. Thank you for joining us. Have any of you heard of West Basin Municipal Water District before? Yeah, that's what I figure. We when I say I work for West Basin Municipal Water District, people go, huh? What's that? So what I figure I'd do is let me do a really quick overview of who West Basin is and what we do, why we exist, and connect that to some of our water conservation programs that you as individuals can take advantage of. And then we'll take a look at see how you can apply it to some of your colleagues that may be at other campuses, see how CSUDH is already a model in itself. And we'll just take it from there. We'll have a discussion. Hopefully I don't yak too long, so that we can have a more thorough discussion and Q&A at the very end. So let me go ahead and share my screen so I can show you my beautiful PowerPoint. Share, and we'll start. Let me move my toolbar around so I can actually access it. That's always the challenge with this, huh? Slideshow, begin. There we go. Okay, so West Basin Municipal Water District is a government agency. We're a special district, and our sole focus is to provide safe and reliable drinking water to the communities that we serve, which is basically all the South Bay area. This is our service area, so we provide drinking water from the Palos Verdes Peninsula south on up to Malibu and Topanga. Out of curiosity, from this map, do any of you live in our service area? Thumbs up.
I think so. I live in Torrance. I see it goes
Okay.
a little bit in Torrance, so yes.
Yeah, there's a small section that's a part of Torrance, which is around West High School. That's part of our service area.
I think it.
And along the harbor corridor too in Lumita.
Mm-hmm.
So 185 square miles. Very important mission to provide this. I'm sorry, is this window popping up still? Maybe it'll disappear a little bit later. And so that's our sole focus, is to make sure that there's a drinking water supply for these 17 cities. As a government agency, we were created by the vote of the people back in 1947 because there was a lack of water resource management to the area. And the service area is divided into these different colored divisions, each represented by a publicly elected civic leader. So there are 5 members to our board. And Amelia, for example, if you live in Torrance, the director who would represent your voice on our board for any votes for initiatives or programs would be Desi Alvarez, who's the current president. So again, created by the people for water management here in the South Bay cities, basically governed by the people to make sure that there is enough drinking water here in the South Bay area. And most people don't realize that we are here. How do you make this disappear? Sorry. Technical difficulties. Back. How this has never happened to me before as far as having this menu bar up here. And make it disappear. To the high names, hide video panel. I don't know, Amelia, any recommendation?
What's going on?
Do you see this
Yes,
menu bar?
West Basin drinking water for viewers, retailers.
Okay, but you don't see this menu bar like I do, huh?
I see.
You're probably seeing the Zoom menu bar. If you're sharing the screen, yeah, drag it up to the top of the screen and then move your mouse away and it should hide itself.
Okay, but as long as you guys don't see it,
We don't
right?
see it, no.
Okay,
No.
good, because it's obstructing my view. As long as you're not seeing it. Great.
No, we
thanks.
just see the slide. Yeah.
Okay, so most people don't know who West Basin Municipal Water District is because we are a wholesaler. We purchase water in bulk, like Costco, and then we turn around and sell it to the local neighborhood grocery stores for their own retail sale. So our water retailers, who are our direct customers, are 5 cities and 3 water companies, and then LA County Water Works. So again, most members of the public don't know who we are because we don't have our logo or a name on the water bills. We basically supply the drinking water for our 9 customers, the retailers and water providers. So where does this water come from? Because I figure if we're going to talk about water conservation, you should have a really good foundation of, well, why do we need to conserve this water? And that has to do with the understanding of where our water is coming from. And historically for us in the South Bay area, our water historically has come from below our feet, from our namesake, the West Coast Groundwater Basin. Back at the turn of the century, the groundwater basin was the sole source for our water supply. If you were fortunate enough to have a pumping permit, you were withdrawing or extracting that groundwater, or washing your dishes, watering your crops, flushing your toilets. Well, over time, with over extraction of that groundwater, the groundwater level decreased in the soil, and therefore the next nearby liquid flowed in to replace where that fresh water was in the soil. And on this diagram, this map, what would be the next nearby liquid to flow into the soil and replace the fresh water? Anybody? Guesses?
The Dominguez Channel?
Ah, very good guess. Unfortunately, not the Dominguez Channel, because the channel hadn't been created back in the early 1930s, 1940s, but good guess.
I would have said salt water in the ocean.
Exactly, the salt water from Santa Monica Bay. And that is basically what we call saltwater intrusion, when you have salt water flowing into what used to be a freshwater aquifer. And when people along the coastline would turn on their faucets, they would have salty aftertaste because that was salt water coming up into their wells. Many of the landscapes and orchards were drying up because we know that orchards, grass can't tolerate salt in their roots. So that's why West Basin Municipal Water District was created, to really help take care of their groundwater supply and develop a new freshwater source. So 1947 is when we were created. And currently, the West Coast Groundwater Basin and the Central Basin are governed by the Water Replenishment District of Southern California. They are the state assigned authority or administrative body that now oversees all the regulations for these two groundwater basins. And that's really important to know because we are still continuing to rely on local groundwater, but the retailers that have the pumping permits in our service area are going to be Golden State Water Company, California Water Service Company, and these cities. So we as an agency have no control over extracting groundwater, but we consider it part of our water supply because our customers are relying on that water supply and overseen by the Water Replenishment District of Southern California, okay? So we continue to rely on that source, but because it's a limited supply, back in 1947, when our agency was formed, we realized we have to find another reliable source as our population continues to expand. And so one primary reason West Basin Municipal Water District was formed was to become a part of the Metropolitan Water District of Southern California. They're the regional water entity or agency for Southern California. There are 26 member agencies, and you can see that West Basin Municipal Water District, as one of those agencies, is a collaborator with the other 25 agencies. And this is significant. We needed to become a municipal water district to help our cities in order to get access to the Colorado River Aqueduct right over here. Because back in the 1930s, there were 13 founding cities for the Metropolitan Water District, like Pasadena and Glendale and Burbank and Compton and Torrance, who had the wisdom and the funding to build the Colorado River Aqueduct. And they went ahead and realized if there is water over in that huge watershed, that extends over 7 states between 2 countries and 30 tribal nation areas, that's a potential water source that they could tap into also. So back in the 1940s, water was flowing to these additional 13 cities, these 4 founding agencies, and the South Bay cities basically said, how do we get some of that water? And for them to access that water, they had to basically form a municipal water district. Ta-da! And that's the story of how we were formed to access this water. Of course, the predicament is that this watershed has been in a drought for the past 22 years. So there's not water flowing excessively through that watershed. So to get additional drinking water to the South Bay cities, fortunately, the Metropolitan Water District of Southern California has a contract with the state of California, who owns and operates the California Aqueduct. So on really dry years, if the Colorado River isn't flowing as much as we would need, we can access water from Northern California, from the Bay Area, if the allocations are at an appropriate level. So in summary, we do still rely on local groundwater here in Southern California, but then we are depending on transporting water from the Colorado River over 200 miles through the Mojave Desert. And then to supplement that, we are importing water over 400 miles from the Northern Bay Area through the Central Valley to meet our thirsty needs here in Southern California. So as you can see, depending on very distant water supplies and with climate change, it puts us in a very precarious position if we are relying on a very unstable, unpredictable weather patterns to provide us with our fresh drinking water supply. So how are we doing with all the rain that we've had these past couple weeks? Currently, for the Colorado River watershed, you can see that roughly about 30% of this watershed is still in a drought. So it's still dire, even though we've gotten lots of rain. And the trick is that rain is a good thing, but we actually need snow. Snow, as it melts throughout the spring and summer, provides that consistent drinking water supply that we need. We don't have the systems in place to capture all the liquid precipitation to hold in our reservoirs, right? So we need that slow release of snow melt. So where we are currently with our snow status is that from 1982 to 83, there is a really high amount of snow, maximum amount of snow here in the state. And then between 2004 to 2015, we had a minimal amount of snow. And so this light blue curve is basically the median. And you can see that we're still below even medium right now. So even with all this rain, we're still below average for that snowpack. So there still needs to be concern about conserving water and managing our water wisely. So
Daryl, sorry to interrupt. Cheyenne is raising his hand.
Ah, great, thank you.
Back
Go
to
ahead.
the prior slide, I was wondering, is that just referencing the California snowpack as a whole? Or is that referencing the snowpack that would influence our drinking water? For instance, the San Gabriel Mountains, the San Bernardino Mountains, as that's the snowpack that will melt and drain into our aquifers.
Yeah, this is the state as a whole.
Okay.
So the state of California, they actually have employees like this who go out on a regular basis during the winter to measure the snowpack in their different key locations.
So the main ones there would be the Sierra Nevada mountain range, which would feed
Yeah.
the San Francisco area versus ours. But
yes. And unfortunately, they don't do it for the San Gabriel and San Bernardino Mountains because that really doesn't provide a reliable amount of snowpack. It's not truly significant because those mountains aren't high enough to provide that consistent snow melt during the year to help out the state, right? Thanks. Thanks for that question. So before West Basin was formed, area was basically relied upon groundwater, which got over extracted. When West Basin was formed, we were able to import water to the region. But then with the consistent droughts that started happening on a reoccurring basis regularly, we realized we can't continue to rely on this imported water to extent. We need to reduce our dependency on it and start offering more water conservation programs so business owners and residents like you can make a difference at home. Turn off the tap. We also realized we have to develop a new supply of water to offset drinking water use. So we developed a recycled water program. And we will always continue to rely on, to some extent, local groundwater. And where we're headed is to continue expanding our recycled water use, just like your campus does, and hopefully expand the use and protection of local groundwater. Okay. So what can you do? Continue to get educated about our water supply, the importance of water, new water saving technologies like today, and encourage your students and fellow staff members to become engaged in conservation efforts. West Basin offers classes on different topics, so they interested individuals can be empowered with the knowledge and the skills to really make a difference in making our communities a better place to live by saving water, but putting money back in your pocket at the same time, okay? We also offer recycled water tours so you can see where this recycled water is actually made that is used in your irrigation system on campus. The next one's coming up in April. We also offer chat sessions for those individuals that are having a hard time navigating through our conservation programs. How do you actually participate in a grass removal rebate program? So you can actually talk to a staff person online. We have those set up. And then we also offer field trips to our water recycling facility for free for students within our service area, schools located within our service area. We actually provide the free school bus to ensure that there are no barriers for any school, public, private, homeschool students, what have you, to come and learn about the importance of water and how recycled water is made and how it's used. If you're a faculty member, maybe there's a way that we can provide you with a free field trip too. We have lots of community programs, Speakers Bureau activities, much like what I'm doing today. And then we have lots of gardening workshops to help people understand how do you approach tearing out thirsty lawns and replace it with California-friendly or drought-friendly landscapes.
Daryl, do you actually go to classes as well and teach or talk in classrooms, or do you mainly do like what you're doing here?
We can do guest speaker presentations. Yeah, we can actually come to the classroom or do it virtually, whatever your preference is.
Got 2 weeks available? Just kidding.
Amelia has my contact information. I can also send it. Let me know. We can see what's available with our schedule.
That's good. Thank you.
We have lots of incentives to help support conversions of grass lawns into more environmentally friendly, drought-tolerant landscapes. Get paid $3 a foot, up to 5,000 square feet for residents. Here's an example of the chat. We just had one last night. We had about 20 people online chatting with our staff person to navigate through the grass replacement rebate program because it can be tricky. There is a financial commitment as far as you coming up with the plans, you taking the photograph before, getting prior approval from the Metropolitan Water District of Southern California, actually doing the install, and then keeping your receipts and being reimbursed after the fact. It can be real, lots of steps involved. So we're trying to make it a lot easier for people to understand and prepare, because we want them to get their money back, that's for sure. And then the Metropolitan Water District has lots of virtual classes that people can participate in to help them understand the design process and the maintenance process for switching over to one of these landscapes. And the newest thing is, since there are so much going on for the individual, there's a real gap in how we can get commercial, industrial, and institutional properties converted over to more environmentally and drought-tolerant landscaping, right? Because there are lots of greenways and parkways that are still using lots of drinking water. Why use drinking water outside when we need it to be used for drinking and bathing and our daily purposes? So Assembly Bill 1572 basically got signed into law in October. And so the state is now dealing with, well, not dealing with, but seeking through the review and approval process to actually how to implement this new regulation, which is basically banning the use of irrigating with drinking water in these public spaces. There are exceptions. You guys at campus use lots of recycled water, so this doesn't impact you. And ball fields and recreation areas are still allowed to use drinking water, as well as cemeteries. And of course, we don't want our trees to die, so there is permission to use drinking water to keep our canopies, leafy and green. This is really for non-functional areas, so any place that is not used for public gathering or recreation, this new law will apply to those just ornamental turf areas. And of course, we all know what they look like and where they can be found in our neighborhoods. I mean, I think each one of us know where there are some of these really beautiful landscapes, but aren't used for any functional purpose. And within the West Basin surface area, these orange areas show where it can really make a difference if we can get these big commercial, industrial, institutional properties converted over to a more drought-tolerant or California native landscape. lots of water savings there. And this is the most interesting diagram. I know it's a lot to read, but basically it says the state is already coming up with guidelines and regulations for the residential sector. With the water retailers and purveyors, they're already calculating water loss and variances, but this commercial, industrial, and institutional element is the big unknown, and they're trying to determine what those regulations are going to be, realizing that there is no cookie cutter approach because businesses, industry, they all are located in different areas geographically, hydrologically. They have their own operational needs. So there's going to be some flexibility in the implementation of this, so to say. So the state is actually giving the water retailers some flexibility in determining how they're going to actually come up with their regulations for their own annual water allocations and projections. What this simply means is that to comply with this, and I think this is the interesting part for you and your colleagues that may be at other campuses. You can help spread the word for those wonderful campuses that have lots of non-functional greenways. You can share the word with them that January 2027, that's when public properties are going to have to be following these guidelines, provided the state actually goes through and adopts these within the next couple of months. 2028, all commercial properties are supposed to be compliant. 2029, homeowners associations are going to be compliant. And then from 2031, provided there's enough funding, public areas in priority communities will have to be compliant. And then how they're actually going to be monitoring this, the retailers are going to have to come up with that, but supposedly everybody's supposed to be self-certifying it. What does that mean? Well, we will see. But the overall effect is, yeah, we want to move in this direction where not only are residents making a difference, but the commercial, industrial, institutional properties are also making a difference on their end too. Okay. To help them convert their thirsty lawns, there are ways to do that. I won't get into it right now, but I think it's pretty obvious that us involved with public agencies, there's political considerations that we're going to have to mobilize, identify the resources, the staff time, the planning time, who's going to maintain these. But as far as the peer-to-peer mentoring, we do have resources on our website. Again, commercial properties can get incentives, $3 up to 50,000 square feet. That's a lot of money that you could get back. Public agencies get $4 per square feet and up to 200,000 square feet, which is great. So there are lots of financial incentives for those entities that want to take advantage of it. And for the peer-to-peer mentoring, on our website, we do have demonstration gardens that such individuals or agency reps can visit. And on this webpage is your campus, which is wonderful. I mean, south of your innovation instruction building, that whole area is just gorgeously designed with drought-tolerant landscaping. So again, these entities can reach out and learn some of the best practices from these other city entities, municipalities, commercial sites. And we have other resources that people need to be inspired, need to find resources. Here's some websites that people can turn to support their effort. But this is you guys. You guys, as a campus, have been so innovative in being one of our leading recycled water users. 90% of your irrigation uses recycled water on campus. Glory be. And using recycled water for irrigation purposes is just a great purpose of diverting our drinking water for drinking, which is wonderful. Our system is the only system in the world that makes 5 different kinds of recycled waters. You get our irrigation water, but we're fortunate in the sense that we have 3 major oil refineries as part of our service area. Chevron in El Segundo, the Torrance Oil Refinery, and Marathon down in Carson. They actually need not irrigation grade water because it still has minerals in it and impurities like soaps and shampoos in it. but they need higher quality waters that have minerals removed from it, so it doesn't affect their distillation process for their crude oil. And then the water replenishment district, that water master for our groundwater basin, they actually take on our highly purified and disinfected recycled water, which is basically cleaner than drinking quality status, and they inject it back into the ground and help replenish our West Coast groundwater aquifer. And even though most of our customers, out of our 400 customers, use our water for irrigating their landscapes, which is a great thing, because of the large quantity of recycled water used, the 3 oil refineries, which each one can take on 2 million gallons of water per day, they take on 50% of the recycled water that we make, and the water replenishment district takes the other large portion to take care of our groundwater. So the top 4 customers are taking over 80% of the recycled water that we produce. Our innovative customers who realize the benefit of using recycled water, yeah, yay. And with customers such as yourselves, we have produced over 250 billion gallons of recycled water to date, meaning that we have actually saved enough drinking water for over 8 million people in 1 year. And with that, I'll stop my yakking and see if there are any questions about anything that I've covered today.
Well, thank you so much for that, Daryl. I think there was a lot of good information in your slides. So I'm thinking for the individual, since you kind of the pro with all water, what would be like your pro advice for how you today can be more conservative with your water consumption as an individual?
I think the first thing is, again, becoming knowledgeable, understanding where the water comes from now, which you all know. I think that when it comes to upgrading your appliances, yeah, take a look around. There are lots of rebates that are available. I know for myself, I think 2 years ago is when I went ahead and replaced my washing machine that was just, a guzzler of water to a more water efficient one. And unfortunately, I don't live in our service area. I live in LADWP service area. So for my washing machine, I was able to get $400 back in rebate. So that really helped me out. So take a look at who your water retailer is, your provider, and they probably have lots of great rebates available for you. Fortunately, technology has evolved to such a point, and state regulations are in place. So many of the water devices are already tailored to save lots of water because of current regulations. So that's a good thing. So consider upgrading whether it's faucets, whether it's your shower head, your toilets, because they'll meet lots of water conservation regulations as it is now.
Okay, great. Thank you. Good response. Anyone else have any questions?
And I would say continue to spread the word. Again,
Yeah.
I was questioning, the topic of just sharing non-functional turf regulations with you all, but I figure you guys are so well connected in the positions that you're at, whether you're a staff member or faculty member, other people at other campuses that have those beautiful non-functional turf areas. So spread the words and help them get in positions. It's like, hey, in a couple of years, you guys are going to have to deal with that. Otherwise, you're going to have dry areas just with exposed dirt because they don't want to pay fines to their retailers for switching over to a more drought-friendly landscape, right? So it has a long-term effect on the faculty and the student body if they're going to have to be walking through or areas that are just decrepit because can't provide irrigation to those areas anymore, or it becomes too expensive, or the campuses are fined, right? Okay.
Great, thank you. Does anyone else have any questions?
I mainly want to have them into my class.
What class do you teach, Shan?
Environmental analysis and planning. And I actually have a section on the March 4th and 6th, that week's discussion is on water and land use, and specifically I cover things like runoff, stormwater management, urban environmental design, watershed issues, groundwater systems. So I kind of give a pretty broad coverage in there. So it'd be great to have you, but I don't know if it's 2 weeks is too little notice.
Yeah, again, Amelia, you can go ahead and share my information. I'll forward a copy of this PowerPoint for those of you who might be interested, especially for some of those resource hyperlinks. And I'd say the other thing that you can really do with water conservation is share this with your students in the sense that, you know, water conservation is always good, but possible career options too, because everybody needs water. So whatever state, whatever city, whatever country they want to live in, water professionals will always be in demand, whether it's, you know, a professional engineer or attorney or tradesperson. But even those individuals say, oh, no, I'm into, you know, graphic arts, or like Sharon, you're into film, right? You're teaching film over at your department. I work with videographers who create, you know, videos. I work with graphic artists on a weekly basis to come up with all our you know, collateral. So whatever their interest or discipline especially is, they can think about applying it towards the water industry. And it is such a good and lucrative field. So the salaries are great, benefits are wonderful, and the work is really rewarding because you know you're making a big difference as far as providing people with a safe water supply, reliable water supply, but also helping take care of the environment too. Yeah. Bow down to you guys for the work that you do on campus. Okay, well, if there's no further questions, again, thank you so much, and reach out to Amelia for my contact information.
Thank you, Daryl.
Yeah, thank you. And for everyone, next session next week is gonna be at the Campus Urban Farm. We will provide the session through Zoom, but I highly recommend that you guys come there in person for a more live session. That would be highly recommended. So, but if you absolutely can, we will also have it through Zoom.
No, you have to say that they have to come in person to meet the new chickens.
Exactly. You guys gonna meet the new chickens, and we're gonna have a farm manager there as well. So
Have we named the chickens?
we have
Did we have a student competition for the names?
student competition.
Yeah, we should have had a student competition to figure out the names of the chickens.
Oh, we already have the names of the
Yeah,
chickens.
too late.
Too late. They already have been named, unfortunately.
Come on, Shan. You know that they're named after the highest, the donors that donate the most.
That'd be fine too, but no, it'd been cool to have a student like, you know, we got chickens coming to the campus, and hey, what should we name them, and have that be a student competition.
Yeah.
Bring
I'll
notarization to the farm.
do
Well, when they have babies, if we keep the babies, we can do that later.
Yeah, definitely. All right. Well, thank you all for your participation. As usual, I will send you guys the recording, and I will see you guys next week at the farm, right? Okay.
With the chickens.
With the
Bye-bye.
chickens. All right.
Thank you so
Carol.
much.
Thank you.
Darren. And
Bye-bye.
I will reach out to you again. I believe you guys are also coming to Earth Day, right? Will you be
Yep.
part of that team?
We're always there.
Yeah.
Encouraging students to go into the world of water as a career. Oh, and we do have our own, I'll include this in my follow-up, Discover a Career in Water Night coming up at El Camino College, March
Oh,
with
perfect.
yeah. Okay.
Very
Carol,
exciting.
are you gonna be the one that's gonna be at Earth Day?
If it's not me, it'll be my colleagues. We'll see who actually has the time and availability.
Okay.
I always love being there though.
Yeah, I used to run it. I was the chair of it for about 8 years before we got Allie hired. So now she's been running it ever since, which is nice. Not as much stress on me. But I was going to ask you, Daryl, do you know, can you check if you guys have availability maybe on the 6th of March?
I'll have to take a look at my schedule. Sorry.
No worries. All right, I'll email you then.
Cheyenne,
Thank
you.
I can just give you
Yeah.
his email and everything
Okay.
after the meeting.
Thank you.
Okay,
Alright.
look forward to hearing from you, Shane. Bye.
All right, thank you all. Have a good rest of your day, and I will see you next week. Bye.